Hello, everybody. My name is Ray. Welcome to the Evangelical Dark Web. Today, we're going to be doing some major news updates on the Southern Baptist Convention. We have a major story breaking, two major stories actually, and that is Ed Litton will not run again for president of the Southern Baptist Convention. He will be a one and done. However, he can always run again. I think he will, to truth be told. However, this news is paired with a replacement news. So while he's stepping out, the establishment, Kevin Ezell, has someone ready to step in to fill the gap. Who is that someone? Willy Rice. We've talked about Willy Rice in the past. He is a docent research customer. So he is one of the pastors that I exposed for using docent research group. And that particularly showed in the materials that his church uses to compile I want to say Sunday school, but group studies and stuff like that. And if the group studies are using docent research group, that means that the pastors are probably also using docent research group. So his church uses docent research group. To what extent is unverified. However, Ed Litton, the serial sermon plagiarizer, was likely also using docent research group and getting the same sermons that J.D. Greear got. That is a very high possibility. So docent research group seems to be running the Southern Baptist Convention. However, I would still say Kevin Ezell is the one controlling the strings. He has the money, he has the personnel, and he put Ed Litton in that seat. He put J.D. Greear in that seat. And he's probably going to put Willy Rice in that seat as well. So let's just do a quick recap of Ed Litton. He has a little address that he gives in this unlisted YouTube video that they published on the Baptist Press.
But for me, this is bittersweet news. The truth is that I believe this work is something God is calling me to do and to devote myself to for the next 5 to 10 years of my life. But I also believe that at this important moment in the life of our convention, it is best for me to do so as a pastor and not from the office of president of the Southern Baptist Convention. It's no secret that this has been a difficult year. As we fought to emerge from 2 years of a pandemic, many of our pastors and churches are struggling. We've also navigated some painful conflicts and intense discussions right now. And I want to speak as plainly as I can. As I previously stated, I take responsibility for my own failures and shortcomings, for mistakes I've made in the preparation and delivery of particular sermons. But we are at a critical moment, and I believe that nothing should distract us from what lies ahead.
So, this is actually I'm not running because of disgrace type of thing, but he's very nonchalant about the whole serial sermon plagiarizing. He's very nonchalant about that, but he's acknowledged that's why he's not running again. He's a distraction. And this is a power move by the establishment forces in the Southern Baptist Convention. This is a power move. We are ousting you. We're going to put someone else in, and we're going to rehab you. We're going to send you back down, and we're going to rehab you. And probably they're going to run Ed Litton probably again someday. I really believe that, they can just run him again. He's not that damaged goods, because once they solidify even more power in the Southern Baptist Convention, it won't matter. He's in their camp. He will do what they say. He will do what they want. And virtue all the signal he has. And, he can run again someday. But for the time being, people remember the serial sermon plagiarizing. They remember that. So just take the issue off the table. It's like when Russell Moore strategically resigned ahead of the Southern Baptist Convention. People just forgot about Russell Moore. They forgot about the liberal of the Southern Baptist Convention. And then 60% of the Southern Baptist Convention messengers voted for a liberal candidate in the first ballot.
Anaheim, we will receive a report from the Sexual Abuse Task Force that I appointed, and the messengers from our churches must be prepared to act upon the recommendations they bring forth. We are also in a
So did that special task force recommend paying an adulterous whore of a woman? Seriously. Because I don't think Southern Baptists would approve of that. Well, maybe nowadays they would, but that was such a blatant instance of a woman having an affair with a married man, or being the homewrecker in a relationship with a married man, and we're supposed to pretend like that was sexual abuse? That's what the Southern Baptist has become. That is how bad they have become. They have gotten worse. since Ed Litton became president. Not better.
Time of increased division and polarization. And I earnestly believe we must be united in our pursuit of that one sacred effort to reach the nations for Christ. And we must keep working to eradicate the stains of sexual abuse and racism from our convention. We must not fail to reckon with our past mistakes, but we must commit to seeking for a better future, where racism and prejudices are relics of the past, and our churches are safe places for survivors and welcoming and wanting people of all ethnicities. There is still much to be done before the annual meeting. In the coming weeks, I'll be appointing new committees. I'll be providing more details about this gospel-based racial reconciliation initiative and sharing other exciting details about our time together in California. Thank you for the honor of serving as your president. And I look forward to continuing to serve with you in the days and years ahead. I look forward to seeing you in Anaheim.
So that's the tail end of the address by Ed Litton. Again, he's touting his record, and his record sucks, but to the woke crowd, the record is pretty good. So Baptist Press also dropped this. They dropped the exclusive that Willy Rice, senior pastor of Calvary Church in Clearwater, Florida, which is a pretty nice area, by the way, will be nominated for Southern Baptist president at the annual convention. That is pretty good news for the establishment. Willy Rice is a political gangster, in my opinion. Like, when I talked about James Merritt in the past, James Merritt, this guy's the next James Merritt. I mean, he just looks like a thug. He looks like a thug. And he's gonna thug life. He's all about that thug life. He is thugalicious. And at the 2021 annual Southern Baptist Convention, he gave the sermon to the convention. And the sermon was awful. I did an entire video on the sermon talking about how he compared Beth Moore to Lottie Moon, how he's basically trying to use bully tactics to suppress criticism of critical race theory. So he is a gangster. He wielded the bully pulpit just like James Merritt did on the resolutions committee. So very good choice in someone to be president of the Southern Baptist Convention if you are a liberal in the convention. Willy Rice is a good go-to as far as who's on their bench, because and here's the problem. Here's the problem with the conservatives in the Southern Baptist Convention. They got no bench. They got no stars. They got no bench. And they think that they can take the Southern Baptist Convention back. And the original conservative resurgence of 1979, 1980, 1981, stuff like that, those years. In the original conservative resurgence, they had Adrian Rogers, who is huge. Paige Patterson, who is huge. They had big names. They had big names. Who are the big names on the conservative resurgence 2.0, supposedly, so-called 2.0? Who are the big names? Who is, and I hate to say it because big names shouldn't matter as much, but again, who are you going to nominate as a unifying figure? This is politics. We're in ecclesiastical politics here. So who's the most electable, to use again a political term, electable person that the Conservative Baptist Network of Southern Baptists have? It's not Mike Stone. He does not have the fight in him. He does not. So who are they going to go to afterwards? Their first ever, their black guy who's first vice president of the current Southern Baptist Convention. Are they going to nominate him? So, I mean, are we really going to put it all on black? And I mean that in a roulette circle, but I get that it is a very choice pun that I intentionally used. So they're going to bet it all on black and play roulette that way? Actually, yeah. I think that is what the Conservative Baptist Network is going to do. Let's hold me to that. I want to see if I'm right about that prediction. Southern Baptist Convention, Conservative Baptist Network will nominate, Lee Brand to be president of the Southern Baptist Convention. Book it. So, yeah, they're going to bet it all on black. So, with that said, Willy Rice is going to win. He's going to win. Kevin Ezell is going to get his crowd there. Anaheim is way too expensive for the conservatives to show up. And you know who doesn't, you know who sees right through the race baiting, totally boomer strategy of nominating black conservatives in order to take the racial argument away from liberals? The liberals, they see right through that. That's not an own. So pick the best candidate. I think, Lee Brand might actually be their best candidate. But I think that's what they're gonna do. Book it. Book it. So with that said, this Southern Baptist Convention is going to be wild. I think it's actually going to be a fun watch compared to the last one. The last one, there was a lot of tension. This one, I think it's going to be a little bit more relaxed and fun because we know what's going to happen. But sometimes it's fun to see the house burn. Now, with that said, the apostate church, that is. The apostate parachurch ministry burn. That could be a fun day. So, and to be honest, conservatives need to wake up and get out of there. Get out. Get out. And part of the reason why I'm going to live stream is I'm going to show you just how bad it is. Trust me, their annual meeting last year was not a good affair. It was not a sign of confidence in the future of the Southern Baptist Convention. If you had to fight your own convention to take a strong stance against abortion, it's not a conservative convention. If you have to, fight your conservative Baptist or you have to fight the Southern Baptist Convention to take a stronger stance against transgenderism, it's not that conservative because, James Merritt's son is a homosexual. So that's why they had a weak stance, a weak resolution that needed to be amended. And then, of course, the Southern Baptist Convention last time didn't even take a strong stance against critical race theory. They completely adopted the arguments of the critical race theorists in the Southern Baptist Convention. They adopted their arguments. They passed a resolution that was their argument. And they totally got bamboozled. So I think the Conservative Baptist Network, they're just getting more and more boomer. I wrote an article last week about how they complain that Lee Brand, the person who I think they're going to nominate, I hope I'm getting his name right, the person that I think they're going to nominate for president of the Southern Baptist Convention, they made an article complaining that he wasn't invited to a racial reconciliation webinar. And it's like, grow up. No one cares. You could have made a stronger stance against Sermongate. You could have made a stronger stance against Bart Barber being appointed head of the resolutions committee and how that was a clear political reward. And you could have made a strong stance about that, but you didn't. You chose this fight. You chose the boomer tactic of using woke. It's still woke. Of using tokenism as a means to own the left. And that does not work. It doesn't work. It gets you clicks, but it does not change things. So with that said, no confidence in the Southern Baptist Convention moving forward. And book my bet. Book it. My name's Ray. This is the Evangelical Dark Web. If you like this kind of content, subscribe to the channel. The Evangelical Dark Web, and also check out evangelicaldarkweb.org. If you really like the Evangelical Dark Web, you can become a paid subscriber and support the program that way, and the journalism that we do and commentary and stuff like that. Or you can just subscribe to the RSS feed emails that keep you up to date on the news and also give you links to the videos because, YouTube bells don't always work. So maybe you can use that as a means to stay in the loop. Have a blessed day. I will catch you on the next one.